easy is it to communicate with a departed loved one? Oh, you want to know? Then keep listening. So, when we say how easy is it to communicate with the loved one, well, first of all, we have to know, did they cross over? Have they already gone over to that spiritual realm? And if they have they already re-embodied? Can we communicate with them if they have already re-embodied? Those are all questions that come up when you are trying to find out if it's easy to communicate with them. So, let's talk about this.
It's a lot of questions, huh?
I know.
Got a lot of questions from one question. But those are very good questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before you even get to those, how about people have asked the question, and I've seen this in many places written, has every soul re-embodied? Every soul that was created by God, has every soul re-embodied?
That's a
How
good
about
question.
that one? That's a whole topic in itself, right?
Uh-huh.
What do you think the answer is to that?
I would say no.
That's correct. Absolutely.
And that's only because of communication with my grandmother many, many years ago, over 20 years ago.
What was that? Over 20 years ago?
Right. Well, you and I were just dating. But she came through to you because I was asking questions. I don't remember what the whole conversation was, but I remember her telling me through you that she was in a part of heaven, a level of heaven, which at that time didn't make any sense to me. I thought heaven was just heaven. And she was very happy where she was, and she didn't have to come back and go through any more physical lives if she didn't want to.
Mm.
And I thought, well, that is the strangest thing I've ever heard. And now, though, it makes a whole lot of sense. All these years later, I'm like, wow, that is so cool, Grandma. So, I mean, you have the choice to stay at whatever level you go to, but most souls, as she told me, most choose to move on and continue.
Okay, I was trying to see how it fit into the question we were asking.
Right, so they have the choice. It's their free will if they want to come back and re-embody.
No, we're talking about
But some don't.
just embodying at all. We're not talking about re-embodying.
Oh, you're talking about
We're
just
talking about-
from the beginning.
Okay, in the Bible they talk about Adam and Eve, right? And that's how the human race was created.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know better than that God created all souls at the same time.
Right,
Well, that's a lot of souls to create at the same time.
right.
That's the question. That's what it's based on. God created
Oh.
all of these souls, these billions of souls, right?
Uh-huh.
Have all of these souls embodied at least once? That's the question. So
Well,
I guess
that's
you
a great
misunderstood
question.
the question.
Yes, I did misunderstand. I thought you were just talking about souls that had died, crossed over.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, the
I don't
answer would
know.
be no still.
It's still no?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, why is that no? Because there are not enough physical bodies for all the souls to embody.
Is that just here on Earth?
That's on Earth. We're talking about Earth. I mean, we don't know about the other planets, right?
Okay.
But even on the other planets, even with all of them, there are not enough physical vessels.
Throughout the entire universe, there are not
There are
enough
not
physical
enough.
vessels
Exactly.
to
There
be
are a
able
lot
to
of-
house all these souls.
There are a lot of souls that are still waiting to embody. Then, of course, they have the ones that choose not to. So just a
Wow.
little fact, a fun fact out there, right?
Wow.
So then we go to the other one. I guess from what you thought you understood.
Yes.
So that every crossed over soul re-embody.
No.
And you answer that question.
Right.
Now, they don't have to now, they have some, well, I'd say depending, so let's change it a little bit.
Okay.
Depending on what it is, what lesson they have to learn, if it's a very important lesson, they will re-embody. Now we talk about free will,
Right.
But then your guides and your teachers
They
will
encourage
show
you.
you, right, they'll strongly encourage you to embody, because they know that if you don't re-embody, you stunt your growth. You don't grow spiritually.
Okay.
You know, so they'll sit down with you and explain to you, listen, this is something you should do in order for you to grow, in order for you to progress as a soul. So in that case, then, the person or the soul will choose to embody. But once you're past that, like what you said your grandma said, she didn't have to, she didn't want to,
Right.
then she doesn't have to. So that answers that question. Now let's get to your questions now, the ones that you laid out. The first one was,
Can we communicate with our loved ones who have crossed over? Or how do we know if they've crossed over?
Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are you need to have a reliable medium who can communicate with them to find out.
Right?
So contact us. My husband will be able to let you know.
Well, I'm not a medium though.
No, but you'll be able to let them know. But
Right.
in the regular world,
But
people
there are
are
the
called
people, there are many
mediums.
people out there that have that ability.
Mhm.
Not only that, I mean, with One Night Vision and the trainings that we give, I think there's even a video out there where we teach
How to
individuals how to
communicate
communicate, right?
with departed loved ones.
It's out there, right?
Right, it's
Right.
out there.
So if they watch that will give them some tips. So you never need someone to help you with that. You can
Mhm.
see it for yourself. Oh, okay, they really are communicating. Now, if you want to learn more, then they can reach out to us, right?
Right.
If they want to learn more, you will have the different trainings
Mhm.
for that. So that's one way.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, it's an easy and quick way. It just sends a message like, let's see. And then, of course, if they haven't crossed over, then we help them cross over.
Right.
We as in,
Our spiritual teams.
exactly, right? And of course, who's your gatekeeper?
You set up Archangel Michael for me, you told me.
Okay, so the gatekeeper is Archangel Michael, just like mine.
Uh-huh.
So our gatekeeper is Archangel Michael. That's very important because whenever it comes to dealing with the spiritual realm, especially with souls that have passed, we don't directly
Work firmly
interact
with them.
with the
Okay.
souls. For example, you may hear people that have seances. We don't do any of that. Okay, everything we do, we're the middle person. We place a request in to Archangel Michael, and then he goes and does his magic to help the soul cross over. So when we say we're talking about the spiritual realm, like our spiritual
Right.
team. So that's how we know that they've crossed over. And they'll normally let you know whenever whenever a loved one helps their departed loved one cross over, they're always very thankful and grateful.
Right.
They always thank them for that. Does that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is,
Um,
can we
communicate with them once they've re-embodied.
No, before you get to that one.
Oh,
Can you just communicate with them, I guess?
right. If they have crossed over, can you communicate with them?
Right.
And we just said
From your experience.
yes. And there are many ways you can do it. We have a video, again, I'll put a link here about how to communicate with departed loved ones. But it could be through dreams, which is very common for me. And then there are other tools that we give in the video too.
Okay. And those tools are separate from, we have a training called Paradigm Shift,
Right.
which is the first training you get when you become a member of One Night Vision.
Mhm.
And there we give a lot of techniques on how to communicate with the spiritual realm, right?
Yes.
Safely.
Very safely.
That's the key.
Protected and safe.
Right.
We don't want to be inviting anything
Right.
in that's unwanted.
That's right. We don't want you to be testing things out there on your own and trying things, go reading a book or watching a video on this same YouTube and just following it without proper guidance. And that's where we come in. We're very strict about, or put it this way, the Ascended Masters and Archangel Michael are very strict about how we do things
Mm-hmm.
for safety reasons, to make
Right.
sure that we're always safe and protected. All right? So if you really want to learn more, then that's where Paradigm Shift comes in.
Mhm.
But yes, they're very exciting ways. We have individuals that are communicating with their departed grandparents and sisters, spouses,
children.
siblings. That's
Mhm.
right. So that's that. And then the other question is, can you communicate with them if they've already re-embodied?
Yes. Well, how do you know if they've re-embodied?
That's a good question. Now, if you're in India or if you're a Buddhist, they actually have ways to identify someone um, to see if that person is the soul of someone that they knew before.
Okay.
They literally have steps for that. I have not been trained on that, so I will not pretend that I have any knowledge about how you would know somebody is re-embodied.
Would your spiritual team let you know if someone were to ask us? Because I don't think anybody's ever asked us that.
I don't even know if I would bother asking my spiritual team a question like that.
Okay.
Because normally, as you know by now, that leads to this point. If, for example, someone wants to communicate with their departed loved ones, please don't contact us and request that we contact your departed loved one.
Right.
So I'm glad you asked that question. Because we don't do that. We don't do seances. We will not sit with you one-on-one and then invite your uncle or
Right, no readings.
brother. Oh, that's it, reading.
It's called a reading.
We don't do readings, okay? What we do is, and that's because, again, Archangel Michael is my gatekeeper. And the way we do this is, Archangel Michael allows a soul to come in. And whoever that soul is, they're then allowed to communicate with myself, or I guess it's just myself right now.
Yes, it is.
Just myself right now. We have some of our facilitators that have been trained on this and other individuals on how to do this safely. Then that soul then communicates to their loved one, or to his or her loved one.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Or if the loved one is not available, we'll get the message, we'll reach out to the loved one and say, listen, your uncle, your aunt, or whoever it is, has this message for you.
Right.
So that's how we work.
Yeah, we work based on guidance.
That's correct.
When Archangel Michael comes through and says, all right, we need to have a session with someone where you can relay this message to them.
And we've had many souls that will come into the house and we know they're
Yes.
here. My wife will be like, who's that? How do you know? When you ask
Because
that question?
there are lights that flicker.
Right?
And I just start asking questions, and the lights keep going, so then I'll go and I'll say, honey, there's a soul here who needs help. So.
And that's when we'll reach out to the soul, and we know that by then it's safe because that soul would not be allowed to reach out to us if Archangel Michael didn't allow the soul to come in.
Right.
So again, that's how we function. Now, if you want to communicate with your loved one, just send them a message. You can talk out loud to them, and just let me know, I'd like to hear from you. Will you get in touch with Laura? Say Laura, right?
Yes.
Not me. Say Laura. and you'll be surprised that they will contact us, and then all of a sudden we'll let you know. We have a message for you.
Mm-hmm.
And many times communication takes place between you that way. So it's like a
Right.
reading, but then an appointment is set, kind of.
Right.
We've also had situations where during our trainings,
Mm-hmm.
during training sessions, all of a sudden a loved one will come through and start delivering a message to their loved one that's a participant in that training.
And then it also applies to the training for everyone. It's like, oh, that is so cool.
Okay. So that's how that works. But so I hope that answers the question about how do you know if they're embodied.
Right.
We don't really know unless if we're told, but we don't go asking. There's just certain things I don't do at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been taught by the SA Masters that once a soul re-embodies, they're not available any longer for communication.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Because that soul now is in a physical body.
Mm-hmm.
And so the soul is contained, and so it's limited. It's not able to go and do what it would normally do because it's no longer free-flowing spirit. Okay?
Got it.
So, as far as I have been taught, once a soul re-embodies, they're incommunicado. You're not able to communicate with them. So if you're trying to communicate with your loved one and you're not getting anything back, that's one reason why you might not get anything back.
Okay.
Now I've heard people say, and I've read things where people have claimed that because everything is energy, even after a soul goes back, returns to heaven, it's left an imprint. And you can communicate with that imprint. I don't know about that.
Okay.
So I won't.
You
I don't
won't
have
get
an
into
opinion
that
on
one.
that. Exactly. All I know is from what I've been taught, once a soul re-embodies, that's it.
Okay.
You're not able to communicate with it in that way. Now, your departed loved one hasn't re-embodied. They're still in heaven.
Right.
So then the question becomes, well, but I've tried communicating with my loved one, and sometimes they respond, and sometimes they don't. So why are they not responding sometimes?
Oh, yes. Well, and that's because they have training to go through. They have to get ready for their next life. So, for my example, when I go to do meditation, I usually would always see my dad right away. I'd just have a little conversation with dad. But then I noticed he wouldn't be there. I'm like, well, where's dad? But then I remembered, oh, wait, he's probably getting training. So, when I go into meditation now, if I don't see my dad right away, who I always expect to see, then I'll just send him a mental message. Hey, Dad, I'm here at this time every day. You know, if you ever get a chance to come on in, do so. I'd like to see you, say hi, whatever it is. And I just send him whatever message I want to send him mentally. And then all of a sudden, I'll see another relative step up, or maybe one of my spirit guides, but someone else will always come through. And then they start communicating with me and helping me. So that's... Now, is that a good example? Did I explain that?
No, that's a very good example.
Okay.
And that should help everyone understand that they're not sitting around there doing nothing.
Right.
They're very busy. You know, it's good what you said about setting a specific time, right?
Yes.
So let's say, for example, you do it first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They can adjust what they're doing so they can be available for you at that time.
Right.
See? But then during the day, let's say it's midday, all of a sudden now you're calling for your dad and there's no response. It's not that he's ignoring you.
Mm-mm.
He's just off, busy doing something.
Right.
So, very important to remember. Next thing is this. Know that even though they passed, they care about us. Maybe they care about us even more. It's unconditional love now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are communicating with your loved ones, it should be because you are using that as a learning experience. You're learning from them. It shouldn't be because you want to hold on to them.
Right.
Right? The whole idea here is that you're slowly beginning to understand they're in a completely different realm, but they're still available to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to hold on to them and you don't want to let go, they're unable to move on and progress as a soul because they're too concerned about you.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't be doing what they're supposed to progress.
One of the things I started to do when I go and do my meditation is that I will just thank whatever family member or member of my spiritual team to step up and help me with what the lesson is for the day. I just go for daily. I'm not trying to do my entire life here. So just let me know what it is I should be focused on for today. And when that happens, whoever's supposed to step up will step up. So that might be something you might want to try. That way you get to see more relatives. Maybe some you never even knew were over there.
Exactly. And that's really good. But instead of expecting the same soul all the time.
Right.
Because then you're shutting out the other energies that are already there waiting.
Right.
But because you don't want to hear from them, they have to respect your free will. So they stay back and they don't say or do anything.
Right.
The big thing to take away from this is, yes, our loved ones are there to help us. And they'll love us dearly and they'll do whatever they can karmically to help us. But we should understand that they still have to develop as a soul.
Mm-hmm.
They have a soul journey to go on. So as much as we might miss them, we have to understand that in order to help them, and if we really love them, we are learning to let them go. And we're learning to work with them as a team instead of depending on them. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
So if you have the feeling like, oh, I need my son, or as I've heard people say, my child is my angel.
Yes.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, a human being can't be an angel. An angel is created by God. An angel is always an angel. A human being is always a human being. A human being can never become an angel. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry to crush any thoughts that you might have there, but I want to make it very clear. An angel is a cosmic being created by God. God doesn't allow a human being to become an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your child, or whomever it is that you believe is an angel, is up there, a spiritual being. They see a lot, they know a lot, so they're there to help and guide you. But please understand that you should really work on letting them go and still working with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's a partnership. But if you really care about them and that soul, you will not be trying to hold on to them and depend on them for everything. That's why you have a whole team that works with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to go and do what they need to do. So they can re-embody if they need to, as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, hopefully that's answered your questions. If not, send them to us. And if you want clarification, let us know that as well. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Join the Facebook group 190 Vision to connect with others on the same journey. Get help by visiting our website 190vision.com. Support the 190 Vision mission by clicking on the donate button, which is at the bottom of each page of our website.